I watched everything I'd worked for vanish in orange flames while she stood there smiling like it was a backyard barbecue, sipping her coffee like nothing mattered. Every rule, every fine, every fake smile had been building to that moment, and I could feel the heat burning more than just my ranch. There's a point where you stop wondering why me and start realizing someone out there doesn't just dislike you, they want you erased. And when you see their shadow outside your window at 2 in the morning, you know it's not an accident. Let me back up a sec, because you need to understand how we got to a burning ranch in the first place. I'm Coleman, 35, used to work as a fire investigator for the state before I decided I was done cleaning up other people's disasters. My mom, Evelyn, she's 68, sharp as a tack after 40 years at First National Bank, came up with this big dream. We'd buy a 15-acre ranch together in Meadowbrook. We're talking horse stables, feed storage, an organic garden, the whole setup. For the first week, it felt like we'd stepped into paradise. And then came Darla. She knocked on our door 3 days after we moved in, clipboard in hand, like she'd been waiting to pounce. 38, perfectly styled, blonde hair business suit, like she was pitching real estate, not welcoming neighbors. She handed me a thick packet of HOA regulations with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Welcome to Meadowbrook," she said, flipping through the pages like she was about to test me on them. "I'm Darla, your HOA president. I wanted to make sure you understand our community standards." Behind her stood Kevin, 39, built like he spent more time talking about construction than actually doing it, nodding along to everything she said, tossing in little gems about property values and neighborhood consistency. I should have known right then that these two would be trouble. But you know what I mean when you're new, you try to be polite. The fines started small, $50, because our American flag was 6 inches too wide for standards, $100 for overnight parking when Mom's sister visited. I thought it was just HOA nonsense that would blow over. Man, I was wrong. It escalated. And then I watched what they did to the family next door, nice folks who'd lived there 12 years. Darla decided their wind chimes were excessive noise pollution, $200 a day. Every day. They took them down, but she found new violations: grass length, mailbox color, guest vehicles. 6 months later, they were bankrupt and gone. The night she turned on us is burned into my brain. HOA meeting, 40 neighbors packed in the community center, eyes avoiding mine because nobody wanted to be the next target. Darla stood at the front, PowerPoint clicker in hand, showing photos of our ranch like it was a crime scene. "Mr. Coleman's agricultural activities are destroying our property values," she said, as if having horses was a felony. Then she dropped the hammer, $5,000 in accumulated fines, 30 days to pay or face legal action. Mom squeezed my hand under the table, her banker brain already calculating angles. When Darla finished, Evelyn stood up, smiled sweetly, and said, "That was very thorough, Darla. As someone who worked in banking for 40 years, I'd love to review the financial documentation for these fines just to make sure everything's properly accounted for." Darla's face shifted like she'd just bitten into a lemon. That's when I knew Mom wasn't going to roll over. A few nights later, 2 in the morning, Mom shook me awake, whispering, "Coleman, look." Out by the stables, a figure with a flashlight was moving slow, taking pictures. When the motion light snapped on, they bolted, but the sharp perfume they left behind told me exactly who it was. 3 days later, I woke to the sound of my horses, thunder and lightning screaming. And I don't mean neighing, I mean the kind of sound you never forget. The stables were engulfed in 20-foot flames. The heat was so intense I felt it through our bedroom window. 31 minutes for the fire department to arrive, and by then, everything was gone. By dawn, neighbors gathered, some genuinely shaken, others watching from a distance. And then Darla showed up with news crews playing the role of concerned leader. She even teared up on command, promising a relief fund. Kevin came an hour later, eyes scanning the burn site like he was studying the damage, snapping photos when he thought I wasn't looking. That's when I knew this wasn't an accident. The relief fund, Darla set up $15,000, all funneled through Kevin's business for proper documentation. Then our friendliest neighbor, Sarah, told me she couldn't help with our horses anymore because the HOA warned her associating with problem residents could raise her property taxes. Problem residents, that was us now. Mom went quiet, asking questions in that subtle way she has. What she found, Kevin's company had billed the HOA over 40 grand last year for maintenance that never happened. And buried in a committee file, an event flyer, future site of Pinnacle Shopping Complex, groundbreaking, scheduled 6 months after we'd moved in. Translation, they'd wanted our land from day one. Then came the email. Your investigation ends now, or your remaining animals will join the horses. We know your daily schedule. This is your only warning. That wasn't Darla's style. This felt professional. Neighbors started coming forward, led by a Marine vet named Tom Wilson, sharing the same story: petty fines, escalating pressure, Kevin's company benefiting every time. And then a whisper from inside the board, a woman named Patricia Wells. They're planning phase 2 acquisitions. Your property's at the center. It wasn't random. Every targeted property was strategic, bordering water rights or prime development spots, and our ranch smack in the middle of both. Then came Jim, a contractor whose name kept popping up. Nervous as a cat in a dog park, he admitted to creating false invoices for Kevin. And he let something slip. This wasn't just a land grab. Kevin talked about Operation Queen, clearing properties for federal contracts, with a mysterious higher-up pulling the strings. Before we could process it, 3 black SUVs rolled up, Darla and Kevin hopping out with a camera crew, planting future development signs on our land like they owned it. That's when I realized they were bold because they felt untouchable. But even criminals make mistakes. Kevin hired a retired fire marshal, Captain Hayes, to testify our fire was my fault. Problem for him. My hidden cameras caught Kevin paying him off in a parking lot. When I tried to present it at a meeting, Kevin pulled the fire alarm, smashed my laptop in the chaos, and ran. The stunt backfired. His prints were all over the pull station, adding federal charges for interfering with emergency services. And in the commotion, I overheard Patricia on the phone. Phase 3 needs to accelerate. They're getting too close. Turned out Patricia was the hidden coordinator, owning property next to every targeted lot. She wasn't just helping. She was managing the entire local operation. And then our lifeline. Agent Emily from the FBI. They'd been watching Pinnacle for months, tying suspicious financial transfers to interstate money laundering. Our case cracked the door wide open. 12 states, hundreds of millions laundered through redevelopment projects. Kevin folded fast under federal questioning: arson, fraud, conspiracy. He claimed Karen, the real name behind Darla, was the mastermind. She bolted to a mountain resort under a fake ID, thinking she was safe. Mom flushed her out by feeding Patricia false intel about evidence in our barn that implicated federal agencies. Karen panicked, broke cover, and the FBI tracked her within hours. Pinnacle wasn't building malls. They were cleaning drug cartel money, flipping stolen land into legit investments. Patricia led agents to the coordination center, a warehouse with servers, maps of targeted communities, and coded postcards from operatives nationwide. Their biggest mistake: every fine, every violation left a paper trail. Viewed together, it was a blueprint for the entire conspiracy. Karen's arrest was poetic justice led out in handcuffs on live TV, still trying to claim diplomatic immunity. Kevin got 22 years, Karen 28, Patricia 18, and a federal domestic terrorist label. Here's the twist that still makes my skin crawl. Our ranch sat on $40 million in oil and gas reserves. That's why they came for us. That's why thunder and lightning died. We didn't just win our case. We triggered HOA reform laws nationwide, federal oversight, annual audits, whistleblower protections. Using restitution and mineral rights income, we rebuilt the ranch, fireproof stables, expanded pastures, a memorial garden for the horses, and a program for veterans and trauma survivors. 1 year later, a stranger left an envelope at our gate, old black and white photos of our land from the 40s. The note said, "Your grandfather would be proud. Some secrets are worth protecting. I still don't know who sent it." Now justice and liberty graze where thunder and lightning once stood, and our porch faces sunsets that feel like proof that you can come back from anything. Karen and Kevin thought they could burn us out and take what was ours. Instead, they lit a fire that exposed one of the largest criminal conspiracies in the country. Maybe the real lesson is this: sometimes destruction forges something stronger. So tell me, if you were in my boots, would you have fought back or walked away?